Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have little Sam with me. Yes, I had a boy, you guys. So, he is almost 4 months, and so I'm pretty behind on this video. I have just been enjoying being a new mom again and having a newborn, being in that newborn stage, and it's actually gone really, really well this time. I struggled a lot with my last baby, but I think taking the time off, being slower and more intentional, and getting the rest that I needed, and also my husband being home for 2 weeks, and then I had my mom for a week, and then I had my mother-in-law for a week, so like I had a lot of help, which helped a ton. So I just took my time and I was like, you know what, I'll get to it when I get to it. And here we are. He is almost 4 months old. He's looking at the light. Yeah, so I'm gonna do my labor and delivery story with you guys. If you want to see the vlog, the actual happenings, and see everything that happened, go to my vlogging channel. I will have it linked down in the description box, and you can see everything that happened. But because like things got kind of crazy towards the end, and you know, like it's just really hard to think about vlogging when you're trying to push a baby out. Also, my camera stopped recording when I was pushing the baby out, and I was like really bummed that I didn't get that. But we got close. We got some pushing and then like right after. So anyways, go watch that. It's a really good video, very sweet. It's kind of long, so grab a snack. And then now I'll tell you the story of what happened, since I didn't get to share every little detail within the vlog with you guys. So yeah. Okay, so he needs a nap, so I'm going to be trying to put him down for a nap as I tell this story. I just also, little life update, I just cut my hair. This is the second shortest I think I've ever had it. It was very dead on the ends, and it needed to all come off. I took probably 6 inches or more off because that's how dead it was. Anyways, I'm going to try to get this kid to sleep while I tell a story. So, on May 31st at midnight, like it was probably a minute or two past midnight, I had like just fallen asleep 20 minutes before because I was watching a movie. And I, of course, woke up because I had to pee, because that was like my whole last few weeks was like not getting any sleep because I had to pee the whole time. I got up, went pee, and then as I was climbing back in bed, I was like climbing and like kind of got on my hands and knees to kind of roll and get down on my side, and as I like pushed down on my knees and got down, I felt a pop and a gush, and I was like, what was that? I've never actually experienced that before. And I was like, I think that was my water, but I was also like, did I not get all the pee out? Like, is that pee? Like, I wasn't sure. So I like sat there frozen for a second, like thinking, and because I was also very, very tired. And hi baby. Hi. Hi. And then I like stood up, and then more started coming out, and that's when I was like, okay, like I know that's my water, because there's no way I like forgot that much pee. And so I was like, oh my gosh, is this it? And I started shaking. I got really excited, and I went to the bathroom, and I like was checking, and it was clear. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I yelled for Drew. Well, not yelled, I like walked. We have an attached bathroom to our bedroom, and so I walked in the doorway, and I was like, Drew, babe, Drew, babe. And he was like, what? And I was like, I'm pretty sure my water just broke. And he was like, no way. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it did. He was like, well, what do we do? And I was like, I don't know, I guess I'm gonna call the doctor. Like, I'm not having contractions, so I guess I'll just call and see if we should go in. So I called, and that's when I picked up the vlog, was when I was on the phone with the doctor, and he said, if I'm not having contractions and all that, and my group B was negative, so I was cool to just hang out at the house for just a few hours. He said probably no more than 6 hours. Get some rest, or, you know, whatever, until everything gets started. I could not rest. I was so excited and nervous, and I just could not get some sleep. I tried. I laid down for a little bit, and then I started to feel like small contractions. They were like just uncomfortable, but not painful. Like I could feel like something happening, and I was like, oh yay, like the contractions are starting. And but I didn't get to sleep until, I don't know, like 4 o'clock, and then I finally fell asleep for like maybe half an hour, and then I woke up and I was like, okay, well, we gotta go to the doctor because we needed to be at the hospital by 6, and we live an hour away and still had to drop the kids off. So we got up right about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and we got the kids up, and I really wanted to have the house like pretty clean when we left so that we came home with the baby to a clean house. So I did a little bit of dishes that were in the sink. I vacuumed because I wanted everything to be vacuumed and nice, and I changed the sheets so that we could come home to clean sheets, and I did a little bit of makeup because I knew I was going to be vlogging. And so by the time we got out of the house, it was like 7:30 maybe. So then we went over to my grandma's house to drop the kids off, and we did that, and it was like a little emotional leaving them because, you know, our family was going to be growing, and it was the last time it was going to be just us. And yeah, so we finally were on our way to the hospital about 9 o'clock, and then we had to stop at Walgreens because I forgot to find some combs to squeeze because I was going to try to go for a natural birth, and I heard that helps. And so we stopped, grabbed some combs. Like, we were pretty chill on our way there, and because I was feeling some contractions, so I did not think that they were gonna have to induce me or anything, since I was feeling some discomfort, and so I didn't feel like we needed to be in a huge rush. So we get to the hospital, we meet my mom there, we get into triage, and they check me, and I was at, I believe, a 5. I was so excited because in my other deliveries and labors, like, it took me a long time to dilate. And the fact that I was already at a 5, I was like, oh yeah, I got this. Like, I'm not even in that much pain. Like, this is cool. And I was still leaking fluid at that point, not everything. So they came in and they did an ultrasound scan, and they said that there was still a little bit of like bag left. And so and they weren't seeing contractions like on the monitor. They said they could see like irritation, and that was it. They weren't like full-blown contractions. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. So they're like, well, we'll get you admitted, and because your water was broken, and so you can only go a certain amount of hours before it gets pretty dangerous and get an infection. I'm sorry if this rocking is distracting. Hi, honey. So they admitted me. They came in to break my water. Oh, and they also talked to me, the midwife was talking to me about how they wanted to place an epidural catheter, just the catheter, and then a test dose, and then like that was it, just to make sure it was working. Just because I was a VBAC, and they wanted to make sure in case anything did happen where we needed to do another C-section. And they already had something in place, and if it was an emergency, they didn't have to place that or put me completely under, because I didn't want that either. So she was like, we'll have the anesthesiologist come up, place the catheter, we'll just do a test dose to make sure it's working, you'll be numb for maybe an hour, and then that's it. And I was like, okay, yeah, like, I mean, I didn't really want it. I was kind of bummed that I had to have it at all. But I understood, like, their, like, concern. So they came in, broke my water all the rest of the way, still nothing. The anesthesiologist came, and this was kind of a tricky point because, he was saying that if he's going to place it, he wants it to be, like, always on and always going to make sure that it's working the whole time, in case there's a need for it, and then he doesn't have to like place a new one because it got out of place or stopped working or whatever. And so he's like, I think you should just be on the epidural, the dosage, the medication the whole time. And I was like, no, that's not what I want. Like, and one thing about me is I have a really hard time telling people no. I feel like I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I feel like they're the professionals and I'm not, and I should, you know, it's a really hard for me to say no. But I had this conversation with my husband beforehand that because I have that problem, he like is my advocate and needs to help me be strong and say no for me and with me. And so my husband saw that I was getting pretty upset because I did not want to be numb the whole time. And so we told the anesthesiologist, no, that's not what we want to do. And he was like, well, I don't feel comfortable placing it if I can't have it on there. And he was very adamant. And he's like, that's just the way I do it. And I was so upset. I went to the bathroom and I started crying. And I was just, it was not turning out the way I wanted, and I was having a really hard time saying no and like fighting for what I wanted. And my husband was the whole time was like, I will tell him no. I will tell him that this is what we're doing. And I was like, but I don't know. He knows what he's doing. He's the professional, and I don't know what I'm doing. And then the nurse came in and was like, look, I'm going to talk to the midwife, and we are both going to go talk to the anesthesiologist. He is from a different hospital usually, and he doesn't really know like our procedures. Like at this hospital, this is what we usually do is we place it, but we don't give the medicine unless, you know, you ask for it. And he's just not how he does it, and he's not used to the way we do it. But I'm going to talk to the midwife, and we are going to tell him that this is how it's going to be. And don't worry, I got your back. And I was like, okay. So she went out and talked to him and with the midwife. And when they all came back in, he agreed to do what I wanted. And that was just really stressful. And then I was like, what if he places it bad because I made him mad, you know, because I was just scared at that point. And, you know, of course he's not going to do that. But I was just like worried about like making someone mad or whatever, it's really stupid. But, anyway, so that was like a big deal, and I like had a panic attack like in the middle of it because I was scared and I didn't know what to do. And so eventually we got it placed. We got the numbing thing going, and I was numb for an hour, and then that was about it. And then they were getting concerned that my body was still not contracting. So I got on the birthing ball, and I was bouncing, and I walked around, and I had like my calming, relaxing music on, and we had turned off the lights and put candles, and we were trying to like make a calming environment to like help my body relax and do what it needed to do. And it just wasn't contracting. It just had that irritation, and that was it. So they were like, okay, well, we're gonna start you on Pitocin. Hopefully that'll get things, you know, going, and then we can turn it off if you really start to go on your own. And yeah, so they put me on Pitocin, which I was pretty bummed about, but I understood that we needed to get this ball rolling before I got an infection and put me and the baby both in danger. So once we got on Pitocin, things started to ramp up pretty quickly. I started to feel the contractions pretty quickly after that, and they ramped me up like 3 or 4 times. And by the end of that, I was in so much pain from the contractions, and like they don't give me like a break. Like I would get like maybe a 10-second break maybe in between contractions. And eventually I had to lay down because when I was on the ball or standing up, his heart rate kept dropping. And they were like, hey, well, we need you to lay on your side because his heart rate's dropping, and we really like are kind of concerned about that. And but every time I would lay on my side, it would pretty much go back to normal. And I did not want to labor laying down, so that was a bummer too. Anyway, so, and then I would kind of get up and I'd get on my hands and knees, and I'd put like the bed up, so I was like leaning over the bed, and I'd get on my hands and knees and try to labor that way because it felt way better. If laying down hurt a lot, like a lot. And so I did not want to be laying down. And eventually they came in to check a couple times, and I was at a 6, and I was still at a 6, and I was still at a 6. And I was like getting really like irritated because again, this is like what happens to me is I take a long time to dilate for some reason. But I went from like 45% of phase to like 95% of phase. So like we knew stuff was happening. I just wasn't dilating. Yeah, so then it got to the point where the baby's heart rate kind of kept dropping again. And they're like, well, we're going to put an internal monitor on. We need to keep a closer eye on the baby. And I'm in a lot of pain at this point, like considering giving up and just getting the epidural. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. So I asked Drew to pray over me before we got the internal monitor in. And I just wanted like comfort and strength and, you know, to be able to get through it. So he prayed over me, and I thought that I would like, I don't know, I thought it would like feel different, but I got a really surprising feeling after he prayed over me. I got the feeling like it is okay to get the epidural. Like, even though I really felt like at the beginning, it's not what I wanted to do, that I could just stick it out. I also know that getting Pitocin makes your contractions way worse and stronger, and that they don't, you know, less of a break. So knowing that and having Drew pray over me, I just felt this comfort and ease, like all of a sudden knowing like it's okay to get the epidural, and like that's what I want. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get the epidural. I think that's the right choice. So when they turned me over to my back to put the internal monitor in, I was in so much pain. I was panicking. I was crying. I couldn't breathe. Like I was in so much pain laying on my back. And I said, I need the epidural. Please give it to me. I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. And they're like, okay, well, we need to give you fluids first. And I was like, oh no, I need it now. Like I was ready. I was exhausted from the pain. And I needed it. And so they were, you know, trying to rush and get the fluids in me. And I was like crying my eyes out and panicking. And finally the anesthesiologist came in and gave me the dosage. But it only, again, this happened in another delivery, was it only went on my left side. It only numbed my left side. I have scoliosis, so I'm wondering if maybe that's a part of that. I don't know. But so he had to kind of keep upping and upping, and we had to lay on my right side, and he upped it like a couple times, and then finally my whole body numbed, probably after like a half an hour or more of that agonizing pain of being done, like that kind of pain, like I just couldn't handle anymore, and I had to go through it for another at least half an hour. After they gave me the epidural, I was cool, and I was exhausted, and I was hot, and I was like, okay. And they're like, hey, we'll get some rest. Maybe now that you're not in so much pain, your body will be... Where's your passy? Where'd it go? Where'd your passy go? I don't know where it could have gone. Oh, there it is. Oh, we almost dropped it. Here. So they're like, okay, we'll get some rest. So then I'm like, I'm okay. I'm talking to my mom. I'm talking to Drew, and then I start getting itchy, and then they had checked me again because they had put the internal monitor in, and I was still at a 6. And then I started getting itchy pretty fast, which happened with at least one other delivery. I'm not sure if my first one, but I'm pretty sure with my son I got itchy, like all over my body. And so they were like, okay, so they were like, let me give you some Benadryl. And but then I was worried. I was like, but wait, what if it, like, I'm too tired, like, to push later? And they're like, I think you'll be okay. You'll get a good nap in, and then when you wake up, I think you'll be a lot closer, and then we'll, you know, we'll be almost ready to go, and, you know, that way if you can get some rest. And I was like, I was itchy, so I was like, okay. And so they gave me the Benadryl, and right away I just passed out. I was gone to the world, let me tell you. And I think I was asleep for anywhere between half an hour to an hour. I honestly don't know. Obviously I was asleep, so I lost the time. And I think Drew and my mom were like taking a good break because it got really intense there before the epidural. And so they didn't like film when I was sleeping. So it was anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour that I was sleeping. But I do remember kind of coming in and out of consciousness, kind of moaning, because I was starting to feel like pressure and some kind of pain. but I was drugged up. Like, it hit me hard. And I couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't even say that I felt anything. And so they came in, the nurse came in, and I guess someone had told them that I had been, or maybe she was just in there when I was moaning. And she gently woke me up. I was like, hey, we're going to check you because you're moaning. And, you know, and I'm supposed to be numb. So, you know, they're like, we're just going to check and see how you're doing. And when she checked, which again, this was only like 30 minutes after they had checked before, 30 minutes to an hour, and I was at a 6, and, you know, everything was cool, and they were like, yeah, maybe, you know, the rest will help. The baby was crowning when she checked, and she was like, okay, well, we're gonna get ready to push. And I was freaking out because I was so drugged up. I was like, what if I can't push right? I can't feel anything, and I can't keep my eyes open. What if I can't hold the baby when the baby comes out because I'm like so drugged up? Like, I could not keep my eyes open. They were like, as she was getting stuff ready, I was like this, and I was like, okay, like, I was trying to wake myself up because I knew I had to push. And yeah, it got kind of crazy there for a second. My battery's about to die. Let's see if I can finish this. Anyway, so that's when we started filming like the pushing part. And I think you can even hear me saying like being worried about not being able to hold the baby. And anyway, so I started doing some practice pushing. She said, all right, that's good. And the midwife came right in because I think she called her like right away. So she came in after a few minutes of me doing the practice pushing. And I pushed and pushed and pushed, and Drew prayed over me one more time because I was really nervous that the baby was gonna get stuck like my last baby did, or, you know, I wanted it to go well. So he prayed over me one more time, and then I pushed the baby out in like 4 like big pushes, like not the little practice pushes. I was pushing for maybe 20-30 minutes, and like maybe, and that's like on and off. And I think that's including the practice pushing. So he was out fairly quickly for me. Like, I'm usually, yeah. So yeah, he came out and they announced it's a boy, because I don't know if I had mentioned on, I don't know what I put on this channel and what I put on my vlogging channel, and it's been so long, but we were doing a surprise gender, and we had no idea what we were having, and they announced that he was a boy, and it was wonderful, and I didn't feel a thing. Like, when I was pushing, I was just kind of guessing, and they're like, yeah, and then whenever they're like, you got it, keep it there, I just tried to keep it at that much intensity, and then I was like, I felt so relieved that I got the epidural, because with my son before, like, my epidural had worn off when I was pushing, and I was in so much pain that I had no urge to push. I couldn't push because I was in so much pain, and he was also stuck. But okay, my battery died, and then my other battery was not charged, of course, so it's been like an hour, and the baby was asleep, but I think he's awake again. Okay, so where was I? I think I was talking about how I was like, I got that epidural and I was pretty glad about it, because I think it allowed my body to relax, because I was in so much pain and my body was so tense that, yeah, I just wasn't able to relax enough for my body to be able to do its thing. So, at first I was like really upset that I caved and I got the epidural, because that's just not how I envisioned it going. And I wanted to do everything completely opposite than what I did with my other 2, because those were such traumatic experiences. But then I ended up being very, very grateful that I had the peace and the calm to be able to make that decision and say, okay, this is just how it's going to be. I'm going to get the epidural. And it turned out, and it worked in my favor, because I relaxed enough to be able to get to the point where the baby was crowning. I did not feel a thing when I was pushing the baby out, and then I pushed him out in, you know, 4 or 5 pushes, which was awesome. So yeah, he came out, and and it was announced he was a boy, and we were so excited. I was shocked. I really thought I was gonna have a girl. Just like the way my pregnancy went, with how I carried, what I craved, I was like so sure it was gonna be a girl. And it was like, it was just such an amazing surprise. It was, yeah, it was really cool. And then we had a really good, you know, first hour where he just got to be on me and I could hold him. I was not weak enough or drugged up enough to hold him. And he didn't have any issues, and it was great. So it turned out that this last labor and delivery turned out to be the most smooth and was not traumatic at all. The only part that was like a little worrying was when like I had that panic attack with the anesthesiologist and stuff. And then just like the intense amount of pain before I got the epidural, because I'd gone as far as I could while on Pitocin. So but like obviously any labor is going to be hard, so like I don't count that as like a difficult labor or delivery at all, because there's going to be hard parts, but there was also beautiful moments. And I tried as best I could, and it turned out the best that it could have ever been, because I think if I hadn't have gotten the epidural, I would have been in too much pain, and it would have, I think, turned out to be a more difficult experience, because my body would not have I would have been too tense for my body to be able to do what it needed to do. So yeah, that is my labor and delivery story. It was pretty crazy that I just like went to sleep and I woke up and the baby was crowning. That was crazy. So yeah, it was really good time in the hospital. Like we just bonded, and he did really good. And he was also like the only baby that really didn't have like any issues. Like Everly had a little bit of breathing issues, and she had some pretty bad jaundice. And then obviously William, I didn't see him for the first whole 2 hours after he was born because of all of his breathing issues, which continued for, you know, a couple of years with his breathing issues with tracheomalacia. But this was the only labor and delivery and newborn stage that went so well. The only problem we had when he was a newborn is he had trouble gaining his birth weight back. It took a couple weeks, and I had to keep taking him back, and we had to do some things with breastfeeding and formula and stuff. But like that, compared to what we'd been through in the past, that was pretty much nothing. He's been an awesome, easy baby. He's been a really happy and easy baby. He sleeps great. Breastfeeding was a little bit of a struggle just because I have a really low supply, and so that was hard, but it was nothing his fault. And it's been a really easy time. Like I said, like this postpartum has been the best I've had. And yeah, so I hope to be coming back to you guys with more videos very, very soon. I'm going to go through, like I had filmed some videos before I had the baby that I didn't get to post. There's some that wouldn't make sense to post. Like I have a what's in my hospital bag that obviously isn't really relevant anymore. I don't know, unless if you guys want to see that, just like so you pack your hospital bag, and I guess I can add on to the video and say what I used and what I didn't use. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that. And I'm just going to go through and see if like any old videos would make sense now, you know, 4 months later. And if not, I'm going to be starting to create content again. We are also in the midst of lots of changes, which I'm actually about to film another video. I'm going to do a life update, and you'll get to see my kiddos for that one. I'm going to bring them in to say hi and show how they're doing. And yeah, so there's going to be a life update coming, and then I will be starting hopefully some regular content, some homeschool farm content coming soon. But I hope you guys enjoyed this labor and delivery story. If, like I said, if you want to see the vlog, the actual footage, go to my vlogging channel. It's called Renee and Drew, and I'll have it linked in the description box. So go check that out. It's a really sweet video, and I really love it, and it came out really well. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.